Ice makers are one of the most purchased appliances this summer, but are they all the same, or do some have better features and produce ice cubes quicker? I chose a budget, mid-range and premium model to test side by side and discovered that they are not all created equal. So if you're thinking of buying any model of ice maker, make sure you watch this video before you hand your money over. So ice maker number 1 is the Budget by Songmics. It makes 12 kilograms of ice in 24 hours and has a water tank which is about a 1.5 litre capacity. I paid £56.99 for this model, and its special features are that it has a self-cleaning function and it's the only model in this test with a carry handle. Number 2 is the popular mid-range brand Andrew James, and I bought this one on TikTok for £94.99. It's got a 2.2 litre water tank, and like the Songmics, it can make 12 kilograms of ice in a day. Its special feature is that it's available in 3 different colours, including this rather fetching red. And the final option is the premium priced Morphy Richards. This one was supplied by the brand so that I could make this video, but it normally costs £199.99. It can make 15 kilograms of ice in a day, and it has 2.8 litre water tank. Its special features are that it's got a timer, an internal light, and a self-cleaning function. More on that in a bit. All of these 3 ice machines work in exactly the same way. They produce 9 bullet-shaped ice cubes with a hole through the middle. You fill the water tank, then water is pumped over a set of chilled metal tubes. When the cubes are ready for harvesting, the metal tubes are warmed up briefly so the cubes fall off, and the machine scoops them up and drops them into an ice basket which sits above the water tank. They all have a sensor to tell you when the water runs dry and when the basket is full. Although, as you'll discover, that works better for some models than others. So we started with a side-by-side test to see which of them could produce ice cubes the quickest, giving them 3 rounds to see if their speed altered as the machines cooled. I filled them all to their maximum capacity with tap water and checked the temperature to make sure they were all within ½ degree of each other. Now, ideally, these machines like water to be around 10 Celsius, but this was the temperature it was out of our kitchen tap. I set all 3 machines up to produce ice on the large setting and switched them on. Just over 8 minutes later, the Budget Songmix was the first to produce results, followed a few seconds later by the Andrew James. And finally, at the 9-minute point, the Morphy Richards dropped its first load of ice. So this first round of ice making turned out exactly as I expected. The machines produced ice in the order of their size, which, as they were starting from room temperature, makes a lot of sense. However, for round 2, mid-price Andrew James produced the ice first, Songmix came second, and Morphy Richards was third. And for the final round, Morphy Richards was actually first, Andrew James was second, and the Budget Songmix model came last. But when it came to comparing cube size, it did become obvious why the Andrew James machine was faster. The cubes it was producing on the large setting were smaller than both of the other machines. And on the subject of size, all of these machines have the option for large and small ice cubes, but to be honest, we found the difference in sizes between the 2 settings was barely noticeable, so it's not what I would call a feature, just an extra thing that manufacturers have added because they can. Now, when you've finished making ice, you can lift the baskets out of the machine to empty them, or use the scoop that's provided with all of them to serve smaller quantities. Although the machines don't keep cool once you've turned the ice making function off, the ice does stay frozen for quite a while. So after the 3 rounds of ice making, I turned the machines off and left them on the worktop with the ice inside to see how long it would last. After 40 minutes, the Andrew James ice had pretty much disappeared, whilst the Morphy Richards and the Songmix still looked good. In the end, the ice in both the Songmix and the Morphy Richards actually lasted for 2.5 hours. So more tests on the way, and a warning about cleaning these machines, but If this video has been helpful or interesting so far, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up and also hit that subscribe button. So after the side-by-side tests, we used each machine separately for a couple of days to see if there were any kinks in the way they worked. It was pretty uneventful for both the Andrew James and the Morphy Richards. They produced ice over and over again without a hitch. But that wasn't the case for the Songmics, which sadly proved it just wasn't up to the job. Ice got stuck in places all the time. The cubes often broke off in a long strip rather than individual bullets. And when we tried to run it to test the ice full indicator, it got stuck with ice piled on top of each other and the indicator still not lit. And talking of full baskets, I've already mentioned that these models all have different capacities, but they also have really different size ice baskets. So although the two smaller machines can produce 12 kilograms in a day, the Andrew James and the Songmics hold significantly less ice than the Morphy Richards in the basket. The Morphy Richards model is also the only one that you can set up to produce ice on a timer. I also compared energy consumption for all three models, and the cost of electricity is so minimal you can barely put a price on it. All three machines produced about 3 batches of ice for 1 pence of electricity. So if you make a single batch of ice a day for a year, it's going to cost about £1.08 for the Songmix, £1.17 for the Andrew James, and the Morphy Richards would cost you £1.26 a year to run. Now, on to cleaning, because this is something that is often overlooked when people buy these machines. Although you are only putting water in them, bacteria and limescale will build up in the system over time, and they need regular flushing through, which is easier with some machines than others. Some manufacturers recommend a vinegar or bicarbonate of soda solution, or you can buy ice machine cleaning tablets, which are really good and descale and clean the machine. You drop them into the water tank and run the self-cleaning cycle to push the liquid through the pipes. Both the Songmix and the Morphy Richards have a self-clean function, but the Andrew James machine does not. The manual tells you to push the liquid through the system by making and discarding 2 batches of ice. So the conclusion is Songmix is cheap but not very reliable. In fact, at the time of filming, it's actually gone out of stock, and I'm not sure if it's going to come back into stock, but I'll add a link below so you can check. Andrew James doesn't have the self-cleaning function, makes slightly smaller cubes that melt faster, but it's a fairly good mid-range model. And Morphy Richards has all the bells and whistles if you've got the budget and the space to keep it. I'm going to hang on to this for a long-term test to see how efficient the self-cleaning is over time and how much the features really matter. And I'll share my updates both on this channel and on my socials. So if you're not following me over on Instagram, please do. Now, if you're still weighing up your options about which one to buy, and there is such a huge choice, a quick summary of what to watch out for, I would go for one with a self-clean function. Also, do check the dimensions, because you could end up with one the size of the Songmix or one the size of the Morphy Richards. And bear in mind that the headline figure of how fast they produce ice can be a little bit misleading if the cubes, like the Andrew James ones, are actually slightly smaller than the model that you're comparing one to. All of these models are linked in the description below, along with the cleaning tablets, and more information if I get it after the video goes live. Thanks for watching.